Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello and welcome to the latest Gull'S Live View, brought to you by Galaxy TQ. We've won games. I'm joined by Chris.
I leave you for a week and we've come back 12 points better off, eh? I don't know. Good evening.
I'm joined by Tom.
It's on, lads. It's on. Good
and
evening.
I'm joined by the sign again. There we go.
There it is. We knew it all along. We knew it
all along, yes. I definitely meant that last time as well. Dom's away, he's still celebrating. So celebrating the excitement. Right, where do we start? So
Good Friday.
Good Friday was a Good Friday. I forgot we were playing.
Maidenhead. No, Eastleigh.
Oh yeah, I'm with it. Right, so yeah, just first of all, can I just point out Eastleigh? I remember them as soon as it was like 10 minutes into the game. I was like, I remember the home game now. It was a terrible 0-0, and they kept diving, and they just live in my head. Eastleigh, I can't stand them because they always seem to beat us, and they always just have these tactics where they're just like, if your team does it, you love it, but it's just like a diving I don't like. Like, fair enough, being a bit time wasty, being a bit whatever, but
I mean, they were playing for the draw 5 minutes in, weren't they? It was embarrassing.
And they were just embarrassed, like because they kept like diving and falling over. It just looked like it gave off all the wrong signals, especially as soon as you get the home fans going, he's going to cry in a moment. That's when you know that that's the way it's been taken, because like they just couldn't have a battle. They're right back and they were just embarrassing. Are they like that every week? Surely not. But
I think they probably are. But what I thought was it also showed how we've changed in the last, probably 3 weeks. It sounds mad, doesn't it? But you think how powder puff and kind of easy we were to play and all of that. But I mean, what happened to that right back in the first 15, 20 minutes? Jarvis kind of flicked him and left one on him. Yeah. And then straight away afterwards, when he was chasing down that channel with Nubler, you knew he was going to lay one on him.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything that probably wasn't, that it was was an offence, but he definitely gave him a barge in the back, kind of gave him a bit of a shove, and he landed heavily. And it just side know we're around now in a way that, we just, 3-4 weeks ago, even just wasn't the case.
There's a perfect balance of, I can speak for literal hours about how the changes. I'll probably leave that just in case, because there's still a lot of work to do. But there's a 20-minute spell in the first half where Collins, who so he's one of those players who's quite inconsistent and plays better away from home, I find, actually.
He was Maidenhead.
When I'm not there. But yeah, they're a bit of a rough 10-20 minutes, as you do. Clearly a talented lad, but his decision making isn't great at times. And he just rushed a couple passes, took the wrong ball, really frustrating times. And he had Dawson and Hall just give like criticism, but in a way it's just like, no, wrong ball on the pitch. You just sort of say, come on, you can do better than that. That's fine. Not that ball, not that ball. And that is the complete difference, because just him saying that before, if you've got a player who doesn't want to take authority because they're scared of having like McGavins and Hansons because A, experience, B, whatever, our players would then kind of, Collins would have folded in, and then it's just like, who's more anxious to make a mistake? Where as soon as he had that behind him, it's like, no, this is what I need to do better. And that all over the pitch is why we're now playing as a unit. We'll go into it more in a bit, the sort of rest of the game. But that was the observation there for me, which is, I think, is the difference. Is having your Newballs and, as you said, Newball and Jarvis together.
Yeah. I was thinking on Monday, and again, it applies to the Eastleigh game as well, just quite why this 3-4-3 formation is working quite so well. Now, relatively obviously the players in it are good, and they're drilled, but we just look drilled. They know what they're doing. Bear in mind, Collins didn't come to play out wide, did he? Stobbs didn't turn and come up to sort of play wing back, sort of play as a winger, but have Stobbs in the second half against Eastleigh was exclent.
Yeah,
he tracked back, he traced, he followed the runners, he was alert, and then of course he put in both first goals in the last 2 games have been excellent crosses. One was a set piece. My dad can claim the assist for that Asa Hall goal, which I did tell Asa, which he was very grateful for in the goals nest afterwards, because my dad said as he was Stobbs was getting it ready, he said, "This has got Asa written all over it." And then a cross come in and he had it in top corner, and so Asa said, "Oh, so it was your fault then." But yeah, I mean, but I thought he was really good, and again, he had a good.
I was going to single him out actually some praise, because
he was really good.
He had a disaster for second half against Dagenham, and there's a few people correlating through those. Oh Christ! But actually, he's a very high. He's not your Ben Whitfields. he's not going to go out and win you games on your own. Probably we might still do. I don't know. I need to see more of him really. But
good deliveries win you games, don't they?
Yeah,
good deliveries
exactly.
get you goals.
He's such a hard working. He is a Torquay United player in the sense that you're not going to be. You're not turning the people don't come to turn up to watch Jack Stobbs, but he puts such a shift in. He's got a great ball in him most of the time. I just really like him and his work rate, and that's what fans want to see. And that's what we said it's all season. Balance. This is not the most talented Torquay team to see, but my God, they know how to win games now. They've got perfect. They have the right ball here and there. There's enough experience and skill in there to be, I would say, challenge for mid-table top half if it all started now with a bit of.
And I think as much as well, don't underestimate how much sport, but particularly in this, what we're talking about here is in the head as well. Because a lot of the times of this season you'd have turned up and Jarvis has been playing, but in terms of the physicality of what you're going to be defending against, you wouldn't have been that scared. You turn up and you line up and you've got Jarvis and Newbley, and you're going to think, oh, geez, these two boys we're going to be in for a scrap with these two boys. And again, that from early on against Maidenhead, beg your pardon, against Eastleigh, it's tackling 2 games. Why can't I not work this out? Eastleigh, Newbley and Jarvis, they just put themselves back. Jarvis works so hard, gets himself across. Because I said they left one on the full back, which other people are going to see and think, oh, blimey, and they just unsettled, and they were. Let's get this right. Eastleigh were 6 foot minimum across the whole pitch. Yeah. There was not one player that was not 6 foot, and we outbattled them, we outfought them, and that is not something you can say about this team at any other stage this season, is it?
And how good was Jarvis in the build-up for that second goal against Eastleigh? Oh, wow. He was fouled at least 2 or 3 times in that build-up, and he still managed to get there ahead and put that ball in for Lapsley.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
We've just got finally we've got that squad that just got that something about them now. Again, it's no coincidence that you take out McGavin, you take out Johansson. Sorry, Chris.
Marshall's the biggest one. I'm sorry. It's just his way of, as soon as you don't have someone who's erratic and he's just cost us so many games. What
I also thought, I don't know what you thought, Tom, but I thought as well at Eastleigh when oh God, I get what Maidenhead. Oh my life, why is this so hard? At Maidenhead, when Stobbs had to go off and Wyatt came on at half time. I thought, and Wyatt, I think at times has looked okay, at times has been pretty poor, but I thought he was really good. Got in about, and he was really hustled, harried them. That role suited him well. Got in amongst them for the 3rd goal as well, and he was getting beyond the midfield as well, which helped. But again, so whether it's that old adage of better players bring average players up with them.
No, you're bang on.
I thought Wyatt was as good as he's been.
Because Wyatt
absolutely,
that is the Wyatt that he should be. And you're right, because if you have a couple of players who are a bit average in this squad now, because the rest are performing full of confidence, it brings up. When you've got loads of average and no leaders, that's when it's just a disaster of all disasters. But that's hopefully Stobbs is not injured though, badly.
Yeah, I mean, he was nearly taken off just for half time. He wanted to come back on, but then Gary said he had an issue. The phrase he used, he felt his groin. Which hopefully is just what was that, and 2 or 3 days it settles down and he's all right for the weekend.
The scary thing is,
it would be Wyatt who comes in and Collins moved to the right, and that worked. That worked fine.
But equally, we are like one injury away from being done again. Like maybe like Wyatt in for Stobbs could work still, but then you've got nothing on the bench for that. One of the midfielders go, Moxie goes. It's like the defenders obviously. It's still there's there's a lot of games coming up. But the belief is there, like they just know how to win games now. I mean, we seem
to have a stable, defense now. The midfield are working hard, and you've got 2 strikers who are, they just keep going. I mean, Lapsley, what did Gary say after he's like a Duracell bunny, isn't he? He just keeps going on and on and on. And I mean, I was at the away game to Eastleigh earlier on in the season where Jarvis got sent off in the first half, and Eastleigh were crap then with 10 men. We probably should have got something from that. And again, the quality of this division, you take away the top 2, 3, it's awful, it's appalling.
Well, even the Wrexham Notts County game, the defender in that game was horrific. Honestly,
it's just crazy that a couple of additions have come in, and all of a sudden we found our feet. And I mean, a month ago we were dead and buried. We were saying before we started, Chris, that we've hit the acceptance phase that we were going to be National League South.
Yeah, I heard that in October.
I know it's just typical Torquay United, isn't it? Just when looks all hopeless, they find a way to somehow give themselves a chance. And
And I think as much as anything, as we said, we've been saying amongst ourselves, and on various group chats over the last few days. I think what all this has done. My personal opinion is I still think it's too late. Just how it'll hurt more when we go down, because if we just gone down with a whimper, you can kind of say, well, we got what we deserve. And I think over 46 games in any league structure, you get what you deserve.
Yeah,
you end up where you deserve to end up. But given and again, we can look at those 4 home games we've just got beaten in. You can look at various games. The game that I remember is I look at York away. I went to York away and they were terrible, which is good coming up to the. But we, nothing happened, and we were in that phase where we just found a way to lose. We gave the ball away, and House had let a shot go under him. And they were poor that day, and it's games like that where we've just found ways, and we really haven't taken any hidings other than against the top sides. But it's funny you said that, Sam. I watched the highlights of the Wrexham Notts County game, and it was exciting and it was full out.
Of course it was. Yeah, the Cameron goal, the Wrexham
penalty, and all that. But what was going on there?
And the winner
ran in on his own and just headed it in.
Like the was it Wrexham's third and Cameron's goal for County second was like as bad as we have been at the back.
The goal Mendy scored when he just ran like 30 yards, there was no one anywhere near him and stuck it into the back. Unbelievable.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we found a way to lose so many times this season, but we were absolutely appalling for so long, and now we're one of the best teams. But just got to balance it out. You're right. The tails or something like.
But let's be right. If we win on Saturday, it's on, isn't it?
It's definitely
on. It's on now. But if we win on Saturday, it's like, oh no, this is actually could be happening now.
Those last 3 games do still worry me, but ultimately you've got to just get as many. And you're saying about players and injuries and stuff, but the message now has got to be: I don't care how much it hurts. If you're the manager, if you're a fan, you bump into a player in the street. I don't care how much it hurts. You got 3 months to do nothing. Well, not quite 3 months, but you just got to find a way to get Lapsley and Asa and Mox and people through these last 4 games. It's only 2 weeks in it. They've got to find a way to get them through.
The funny mad about Gary Johnson though, like two points I make. One, he would never turn into a bad manager. Look, he's done a terrible job of signing players all season, and we are the reason it's in there. He hasn't improved a lot of players, of course, but as soon as he's signed a couple actual footballers, he's great at making footballers better. If that makes sense. Actual ones who believe in him like that, who haven't just come out of maybe academies or actually believe in him. Stobbs believes in him, Dawson clearly from past things believes in him. Nooble does as well. Yeah. As soon as you've got players coming in like that again, not just people who are like, oh, who's this, it's like he's great at getting it together. Secondly as well, what has his career been with streaks? Honestly, he's always gone winning streaks, disastrous losing streaks, winning streaks again, and we've seen it with him. Like the amount of time it's gone up and then down. As soon as you think he's finished, it goes up and then it goes completely down this way, and probably still too far down. But it's mental how he his whole career has been like that. But just to
give a bit of context, I did a bit of, as it wasn't really set, so I was reading a program, but trying to make myself sound like a semi-intelligent journalist, which I'm absolutely not. But on Saturday, and then it wasn't. I can't cope with you. Friday wasn't Friday, Monday.
Sacked in the morning here, Chris. Sacked in the morning.
Yeah, it's just can't make out who we're playing, what day it is, and all the rest of it.
We win a couple of games, and you go to pot.
Yeah, I know, it's unbelievable. But there were two players. There were 2 players who started the games over Easter that started the first game.
Yeah, it's a crazy stat, isn't it?
And that's why it's been such a fight.
Yeah, I've got to say a big shout out to Super Frank. He was the goals he scored at Maidenhead were absolutely incredible. Well, the second one was incredible. The third one was really poor goalkeeping, but the second one, I honestly thought
that's what you hit the
post and went out.
Naturally keep. I mean, yeah, you're right, Tom. That finish is ridiculous. You made it look so easy, but naturally, it's all you have to do. Hit it hard and no. That first goal, a lot of keepers say, as good as the header was by Asa, he got a big hand on that. Naturally keep.
Against Eastleigh, I think the keeper should have saved it. The first one against.
The first one against Maidenhead as well.
Keeper should have saved it.
Hit them hard and no.
I don't think you saved the first one against Maidenhead. The first one against Eastleigh straight away.
I said,
this is true. I mean, the first one against Eastleigh straight away, I said keeper's got to save that because it was a full hand. It wasn't a kind of a flicky finger. It was a full hand, and he pushed it into the top of the net. So he's got to save that. But yeah, I mean that first Newblade goal at Maidenhead was just. Whereas when he hit it, you thought, well, there's no way he's going to score from out there. And as you kind of saw it coming to, because they usually bounce over or someone clears them, then you thought, And you thought, hang on, this might go in. Hang on, this might. And then, I mean, it was just, it was an unbelievable.
You probably had a better view of it going in than I did because you were on the side. I was behind the goal.
Yeah.
I was convinced it was going to hit the bar or hit the post and come back out. And it was sort of like, is it in? Is it in? Oh, they're cheering over there. Yes, it's gone in.
Yeah,
it's just a fantastic finish. And
just quality.
It's the perfect way to set the second half up as well. You score late in the first half, go in at half time, and then you quickly get that second. And then to get the third was amazing. And of course, it's a shame we conceded that one. But again, Maidenhead didn't really look at any point like they weren't gonna score
if we hadn't given them a goal, were they? They weren't, which we did. But I mean, it's interesting what Gary said a lot this season. And again, you've seen it in these home games. You've seen it over the last couple of games. Important to the second goal. Because both games, I've said to my dad, look, if we've got to get a second goal in, we've got to get a bit of breathing space because all it takes is 1 second. I wrote it in Ask at the weekend, and again, just getting that second goal is so important. Getting it early in the Maidenhead game, but just getting it, shortly after half time, just changes the shape of that half, doesn't it?
And we talk about controlling games of football as well. Again, the gamesmanship from Eastleigh, especially, like. Did they come to play more just for a point? You think they'd have a bit more ambition, especially with them fighting?
Pathetic, honestly. They were not up for a fight at all. I would be so annoyed if I was an Eastleigh fan and my players didn't be that showing.
It was pathetic in a way, especially when that guy rolled onto the pitch after he was taken out.
I don't mind that a bit, to be fair. Like, we all do that.
I must say, I was like, that is some high class shithousery there. But,
that's the one bit I was impressed with their game about, really. Apart from that, they were just rubbish.
You look at all of those sides that we've played recently. Boreham Wood, awful. Yeah. Eastleigh, awful. Barnet weren't terrible, but we beat them, so they can't have been that good with that team we had at that point. You look at all of those sides in and around. Bromley, they weren't great. Ironically, the team we've played since Christmas, who I thought actually looked like a good football side, with Southend, who have then gone and lost. Was it 7 games in a row before they won last weekend? And it's things like that. And the quality of the league is just not great, is it? Which, as we've said before, which is why it's disappointing. We found a way to.
It's so consistent. Some teams will just have the days where it all clicks, but they just cannot find that consistency.
But again, it comes down to recruitment. If your recruitment's good, then you're going to have a chance of being in the mix come the end of the season. If it's bad, like it's been for most of the season, then you're going to be struggling.
The point for me is that if Torquay have probably like a mid-table budget, they still should, they still should be able to build a team which is mid-table and can actually, if you get it really right and you train them, can actually jump out just outside the playoffs. Like that, it was never a budget that should get relegated this season. Like I don't know it, of course I don't, so I'm just speculating, but this for the players, and in fact we brought Nouble in now as well. It's just like
right under Oval's noses as well. How good was that?
So weird.
That was crazy. Did you see what one of the owners was writing? It was
so bizarre.
I was thinking, and I've said I've not been overly critical of the owners at times because I don't know enough. A lot of people seem to think they know an awful lot. I think there's an awful lot, as we've discussed before. There's a lot of questions I'd like to ask, but you look at that behaviour in public, and you realise just how bad that is. And I mean,
that's just embarrassing. It's like a comedy show.
It's interesting as well, isn't it? Because Gary said was kind of questioned kind of a couple of weeks ago about kind of almost where have these players been? Where's Dawson been? He's signed in for a National League North club. How could you have not got him in earlier? Nouble, people like that. But actually, and the point Gary made is, well, they weren't available. And you look at players like Lewis Collins, who's come in after January, when obviously Newport had done their recruitment they wanted to do. These people become available. Obviously, new culture, new
you have to get it right in the summer.
So much of football is about circumstance, which is where some players, you look at Jarvis, Scunthorpe fans said, oh, he's a donkey, he won't score any goals, and all this. And he's been, talismanic for us all season, hasn't he? Yeah. But it's a lot of it is about circumstance and situation. But, fair play to Gary jumping all over Frank, because it sounds like it was done, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it sounds like from what his the company representing put on Twitter, that all of a sudden, as soon as they got wind of it, Torquay jumped all over it.
I mean, my point about Gary still stands. Like, personally, I still think at the end of the season I would like to see a change, but I will say fair play to him that when he does get the right players in, then they are very good players. And maybe his being around the game a long time, maybe that was a reason why Nouble came to us. Maybe if Gary wasn't there and we had someone, I suppose it's all ifs and buts, really.
Then it makes me so deluded, honestly, because I was literally after the Maidenhead game, we stay up and then we keep all these players, which won't happen. And then we sign a few more good ones. We'll be up in the playoffs next season. Gary Johnson,
but then if you do stay up, then you never know. You might get some of these players that'll say, yeah, you know what, I want to stay here and try and build on something. Because if you end the season well and you build that momentum going into next season, you never know. You might
Leicester
get a
City
couple
2015.
Leicester, yeah.
Escape them on the league.
Yeah, you might want to pipe down about Leicester in a minute, Sam.
Yes,
but the interesting thing about all of the the whole Newblay situation fascinates me. I hear what you're saying around getting them in, but fundamentally, if Newblay had to react then, because he had till 5 o'clock then to earn some money between now and July, pretty much, didn't he? Because that was the deadline day. That was it. He wouldn't be signing for anyone else. That was it. Done. So actually, if he was going to go to Yeovil, well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, let's go and give it a go. But what fascinates me is that he doesn't come across as somebody who has just kind of turned up, does he? Straight away he was on, it's not about social media, but
he understands, doesn't he?
Players. Yeah, straight away he was like, look, 9 cup finals, let's do this. And he's on Twitter after every game, and he's posting pictures of how gorgeous Torquay looked last Saturday, and straight after the game, he's straight on it. And, I was in Girls' Nest after the game on Friday, and he knows how to talk to people. He knows how to be respectful and understand.
Why weren't players doing that before? Honestly, I know it's just experience now, but it's just basics. Like, just go out into that and just say, look, this is what's happening. Like, so many players they just look like they've got the mentality of me, just an ordinary person, like not a sports. Well, they just come out of academy and they just don't have that personality anymore.
But so many players just turn up, don't they? They just turn up, but I can say, I don't go in Girls' Nest after games, regularly, but I have to say, all of the players that came in, they all come in, had a chat. I was impressed with them all. There wasn't anybody who thought, it was a bit standoffish. Dawson, Lapsley, Hall, Newblay, Halstead.
I remember, Halstead. I remember that I went to the Paul Torquay friendly, and I was just, this was like Halstead's where he just signs. And I remember I was just watching his warm up, and then he literally come over and, all right, mate, and I was just like, what? Someone spoke to me, and it's just things like that actually do just kind of make a big difference. It's good for them as well, because they feel like they're interacting, and then fans get behind it.
They see what the club's about. They see the fan base, and again, the Yellow Army keep turning up in numbers week in, week out. What was it, over 3,000 on Good Friday? God knows how many we had at Maidenhead, but when they don't announce a away figure, you know that.
And in fairness, somebody like Newblay must have turned up at Torquay, team where we are in the league, read a bit about our history, whatever, turned up at the club, seen the stadium, the facilities, the training grounds, more than serviceable now. You must turn up. What's going on here then?
Gary Johnson as well.
Yeah, you got a manager like that, and some of the players we've got, and you must rock up and see a bit of training. They must, look decent in training. What's happened here? Mustn't you, to think kind of when you've not been part of it?
Yeah, no, it is true. I think a lot of people it is a nice thing when you it's not like we're a fallen giant at all. We kind of are, actually, especially when it's out to south, but people like sort of being, it's a lot easier when you're good to stand out in a situation like this. If you go to a club that's fighting for the playoffs and then you don't score straight away, if you come to and you show how much it is, and it just gets the fans on side.
But
it's so sad to see these lot go down.
Yeah, absolutely. And again with Newblay, I wasn't particularly bothered he hadn't scored, really, because what he brought, what he was bringing to the team.
He brings so much. Yeah.
The amount of times you've seen him just, the ball will come into him, he'll pick the ball up, he'll kind of shove a defender off, he'll have a couple of people snapping at him, he'll drop a shoulder turn, and just knock the ball to a fullback or knock it to a central midfield player. But having that ability to just send it up, hold it sticks, you can shove a couple of people off, bring a bit of time, get a bit of structure maybe to the shape of the team. It's just so impressive, and
just hard work, good graft. That's what I want. That's what I want from my team
as well. Dawson is he is so good. I was a bit envious I was a bit worried how that Lapsley, Hall, and Dawson would work, but actually it works so well because Lapsley plays a bit more advanced, and that suits him. But so does Dawson at times. The three of them is a lovely midfield.
Lapsley's played a bit further forward at times this season, and it hasn't worked because of what's behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
But now that you've got Dawson and Hall, it's almost kind of like, right, we'll sit, you go, and then a couple of times, Dawson will chase and chase and chase and chase and chase. I have to admit, I was pretty underwhelmed when we signed Dawson. I think a lot of people are like, crikey, we're in trouble and we're signing, now, are they South or North? Gloucester? North, I think.
Now, yeah.
North. Crikey, we're signing National League North central midfield players. This is going to get us out of trouble, is it? But
who's not played for like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah, I think that was a bit that worried me more than anything, the fact he hadn't played football.
He's just so fit as well, didn't he? Never stopped. Never stopped. I mean, he has just been so impressive.
Yeah, that's the first part. Spoke freely. I've never Yeah, so much easier when you win games. But yeah, so we're seeing the second part where there's questions, and Tom will read, and I'll sit here. Thank you.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay! Chris Hargreaves, the captain! If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Banyan. Sells!